UPod Street is an official affiliate of Birdland Sports. Visit birdlandsports.com/UPodStreet, and 10% of your order will go directly to supporting the pod. Use code UPodStreet at checkout, and you'll get 10% taken off your order. Now sit back, relax, and keep that beer cold, because it's on to UPod Street.
What is up, Birdland? I'm just some guy who's going to keep looking off to the side because I'm watching Monday Night Football, Jimmy Horn. And joining me, as always, is the brunette Thor himself, Jack Bain.
Whee!
Jack, what is your favorite number?
0.
0. That's a good answer. Because right now the magic number is 3, but we'd really like it to be 0 here soon. We've got a great week of Orioles baseball to talk about. A tiring week of Orioles baseball, I think, is a good way to put it. But before we get into the Orioles themselves, Jack, how about you give us the updates from around the league?
Yeah, man, big week for the wild card races, most notably in the AL. Things kind of turned upside down. The Rangers, all of a sudden, are sitting atop the AL West. You asked me this question last week. I would say you're full of it. It really looked bleak there in Texas for a little bit.
How about the Royals?
Yeah, man, the Royals really giving the biz to the Astros.
Sweeping them, right?
Sweeping the Astros. Like the Royals, just like their offense woke up and they pitched really well. And that's how you win baseball games. That knocked Houston down to that third wild card spot, and Seattle was also swept over the weekend. Now they're on the outside looking in.
Who did Seattle get swept by? Was that by the Rangers?
It was.
Okay, so that's doubly bad for them because that's within the division.
Yeah, I mean, the AL West is going to be tough for them now. I mean, it's still not crazy outlandish to think that they can make it in through the AL West. It's going to take a lot of Rangers losses this week. Got to remember, there's only 6 games left in the season, which is kind of crazy that we're already here, right? I mean,
but they are playing the Rangers again this week, though.
Are they? I didn't even look at schedules.
I think they end the season playing the Rangers again.
And right now the Astros they're in Seattle for their next series.
That's right.
It's gonna be big, man.
Yeah, that AL West. What kind of sucks for them is probably only 2 of them are getting in for the 3 that are battling for the division.
Yeah, I mean the Blue Jays with a good weekend also, like they're 2 games above the Astros right now. So I think it's the division or bust. Kind of doesn't really. I mean, the Blue Jays technically are 2 up on Houston and then 2.5 up on Seattle. So Seattle would need to basically take 2 out of 3 from Houston this weekend to be in a favorable spot afterwards.
Yeah.
On the other side, Arizona and Chicago are tied for that second spot. Phillies clinched their postseason appearance. They will be that first overall wild card team. Only teams really still in it are Miami and Cincinnati, and Cincinnati did not play a good week of ball last week, only winning 4 out of their last 10. And Miami, is keeping pace. They're a game behind the Cubs for that last wild card spot. It's exciting, man. It's going to be exciting.
That's so did the Phillies officially grab the first spot of the wild card, or did they just clinch that they will be a wild card?
I thought that they were celebrating, but it appears that they have not quite clinched all the way. They might as well have after rattling off 5 wins in a row. So right. I would assume that their magic number is...
It's got to be 1 or 2.
Yeah, it's got to be close. I can't believe that they haven't clinched it. Yeah, it's got to be 1.
Yeah.
It's got to be 1. And they don't play till tomorrow.
And they gave the
Lot of-
business to the Braves too.
Say again?
They gave the business to the Braves.
The Stinky Biz.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than those races, like the AL Wild Card and AL West race kind of go hand in hand. And then outside of that, those and the Rays are the only division really left to be decided. Yeah, I mean, just kind of some other headlines from around the league. Joey Votto played possibly his last game in a Reds uniform at Great American Ballpark.
Great ovation.
Really good ovation. It was a packed
Well
house
deserved.
in the weekend. Yeah, man. I mean, there's no way that the Reds pick up that last year of his deal. It's just over $20 million, and they did not get $20 million worth this year. So it would be unwise for the Reds to pick it up. But, I mean, if the Reds do make the playoffs and he's like a big factor in it, I think they probably do pick that option up. But, I mean, still, that's a ton of money for a guy who missed over half of the season.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think it's a fitting send-off for him.
Yeah, no doubt. In the NL West, Dodgers clinched. I think we talked about that last week, though.
Yeah, we did.
The Padres. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. They're really not in a good spot to make the playoffs.
I was going to say they're not mathematically eliminated, but they're pretty much out of it, right?
Mathematically, no, they are not eliminated. Winners of 9 of their last 10, and they would have needed a lot to go right from the north side of Chicago, and they won 3 in a row, pretty much squashing all hopes for the Padres. Their number to be eliminated is 2. So really, any Cubs win would kind of knock that down. Yeah, it was fun. 9 out of 10 is fun for the Padres.
Let's go Goose.
They have an opportunity to finish above 500.
Hey, there are times when in Baltimore we would consider that the equivalent of a World Series. So
it's true, but their payroll is a little heftier than
a little bit higher than ours. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they just need to go 3-3, and they finish 500 on the year. There's something. Get yourself a worse draft pick.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And then last thing, just kind of like the awards races. MVP in the NL is probably the most talked about in the last month or so, but it really seems like Acuna's running away with it. I know on most sports books, it's Acuna minus 800. So probably going to be the NL MVP. NL Cy Young's pretty close. Blake Snell and Justin Steele are taking it down to the wire. Steele kind of blow up start in Arizona that really did not help his case in that regard. I would probably think that Snell's going to take that one. And then AL MVP, Shohei Ohtani. Really, not much you can do about that.
With him missing the last month or so,
he played 130 games.
Yeah,
and pitched in most, and didn't really miss a start while playing those. I mean, you think about other top tier players in the league, they're only 10 games more than that, just with off normal rest days. So I think he's still got it locked down pretty heavily. And then AL Cy Young, seems Garrett Cole is probably going to take that one after a pretty good start today in the rain.
Well, what about AL Rookie of the Year?
Come on.
I just thought I'd throw it out there.
Yeah, you can throw it out there, but it's over. That one's over.
Yeah, it better be over.
Yeah, and then the NL one's also over. Corbin Carroll's going to take that one home as well.
Did you see, speaking of awards, Minor League Player of the Year was announced today.
Oh, yeah. Wait. I saw Basayo got it for single A.
But I think this was just the Baseball America Minor League Player of the Year.
Oh, it was Jackson Holliday?
Overall, all minor leagues.
Yeah, was it Jackson Holliday?
It was Jackson Holliday.
Yeah,
of course.
Had to be.
Which
played on 4 different levels.
Gunnar Henderson won it last year.
There you go.
So could we see back-to-back Minor League Players of the Year and back-to-back Rookie of the Year?
It's possible. Which one do you think has more weight to it? Minor League Player of the Year is pretty impressive just considering how many guys are in the minor leagues. But then, American League Rookie of the Year is
I
in
would
the
say
majors,
rookie of the
so.
year still has more weight to it. I mean, you can be the best minor leaguer ever and still never see your name on a lineup sheet in the major leagues.
That's true.
With the best of them. So
That's true.
I would say rookie of the year probably has more weight,
Minor
especially
league
because
player
there's
of the
just
year.
such a big jump from
It's
AAA to
true.
majors.
It's true, but there's just so many minor league guys. Like
There are. I mean, I'm
I'm
not to
not saying that,
disparage it. It's a good accolade. It's just I think rookie of the year is a bigger deal.
Yeah, for sure. All right.
Well, Jack, we have a lot of Orioles baseball to talk about this week because we had games for like the third week in a row every single day. And this started with after the Orioles clinched last Sunday, and they partied, and then they flew to Houston for a hangover game. Now, I don't know about you, Jack, but I went into the hangover game thinking they're not winning this game.
No,
They
seemed a little bleak.
Yeah, like you just thought, all right, you're all going to be hungover. You partied the whole way to the plane. We can go ahead and write this one up as an L. And I just figured whatever happens, happens. To our surprise, John Means came out.
Yeah.
And he had a decent outing. I mean, this is his second outing since Tommy John surgery.
Yes.
And he went 5 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 run, 3 walks, only 1 strikeout. But, for your second outing back after not pitching for over a year and a half, I'll take that.
That's pretty
not
good.
a bad outing.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
Now, the offense, which, as we talked about the week before, kind of went cold, continued to come back alive. We had 8 runs off 16 hits in this game, including probable rookie of the year. Gunnar Henderson had 3 hits and also scored 3 runs, which means he's adding to his lead. He overtook Cal Ripken for the most runs scored by a rookie. And I think he's overtaken him for most RBIs by a rookie. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. The only one that he doesn't have is he doesn't have the home run record because Mountcastle took that a couple years ago. And I think his ended with 33, and Gunnar needs another 4 home runs or something for that.
Yeah, I mean, if he does, it means he's hot going into the playoffs, so that'd be fun.
I love that. Love that. I just don't think it's going to happen, but
no, probably not.
Weirder things have happened. Of note in this game that was not good, Shintaro Fujinami only went a third of an inning, gave up 3 hits and 3 runs. This was a back and forth game throughout, and Fuji did not look good. Orioles bullpen ended up going through 6 pitchers in 4 innings. And this is going to be a common theme. This is going to come up a lot, Jack, as we go through this game. Bullpen usage and the fact that the Orioles go through a stretch here where we were playing 17 games in a row without a break. We're going to keep coming back to that. So get prepared for that theme throughout the show. But in the top of the 9th inning, Orioles come to bat, get a couple guys on, and once you know it, Cedric Mullins, who had the game-winning fly out the game before to clinch the playoffs, comes up and hits a 3-run bomb to put the Orioles ahead 8-7 going into the bottom of the 9th. Yanier Cano comes on and gets the save.
Off of one of the best closers in the last 5 years, I might add.
Yes, the Orioles took down a great closer. So Jack, question for you. Did you stay up and watch this whole game?
Yeah.
Good on you. I was tired. I'm not going to lie. I was tired. I told you I worked an event the Saturday before. I was still tired that Monday. I was still exhausted.
Yeah.
And it got to the 8th inning, and my eyes were doing that, like, I was really struggling to keep them open thing. And when I saw the Astros score another run to go up by 2 runs going into the 9th inning, I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm going to bed. And then I had a dream, Jack. I had a dream that night
Oh my.
that the Orioles came back and won in the ninth. I'm not making this up. I literally had a dream about this to the point where I woke up in the morning and was like, "Oh man, like that was a dream. Crap." And then I pull up my phone and I see the notifications that the Orioles won, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah, dude.
Wild. Absolutely wild.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody expected to have such like a big game happen, after the Orioles celebrated. And I mean, this whole series again, like we keep playing good teams, and it just feels like a playoff series. And that's kind of how it was all game. Like you said, back and forth. That sixth inning really, really killed the O's. And one thing that I will say on Fuji is that he has two kind of blow up outings, right? But then after
This
that,
week, yeah.
But then after that, he's nails. That's what happened. Like right as he came over, right? 2 blow up starts, really good. Another 2 blow up starts, really good. Not starts, appearances. Excuse me.
I think Melanie Newman. I was listening to the radio the other day. Melanie Newman said it best, where Fuji is like really, really good in high leverage situations.
Yeah.
Like you bring him in, and it's like the highest of leverage situations, and he's nails. You bring him in like the lowest of leverage situations, also nails. If you bring him in the medium amount of high leverage situations, like medium leverage, I guess is the way to put it.
Yeah.
He's awful.
Yeah, I mean, I can't argue with that. I mean, that's just how it goes. I mean, the whole bullpen, not the whole bullpen, but those middle innings, those guys that pitch, they just weren't nearly as sharp as they were. Like you see the 2 walks, no walks from Fuji, but you see the 2 walks from Webb and Colum, and you just kind of think like, yeah, were they a little hungover? Maybe, because I mean, like they pitched later in the week and they look great, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things. I think ultimately it comes down to what we're going to keep talking about. Is these guys were operating on not a lot of rest.
Yeah, not at all.
Because who pitched after the Grayson game? Who pitched Sunday?
Like for the Rays or
For the
during
O's.
the Rays game?
Yeah, during the Rays game.
I believe it was Kramer.
And I don't think he went very long. I think he only went like 4 innings or something like that.
Yeah, I don't remember it being that great of a start. Yeah, it definitely was Kramer, and he went 5 innings. But the game did.
It goes into extras,
to the
so you
11th.
used a lot of your guys. Again, it's going to keep coming back to that. And so, as rough of a stretch this week was for the bullpen, I give them a lot of bricks because they were having to be used a lot. The whole team looked exhausted this week. But the Orioles come out, you steal one from Houston, right? And anytime you can walk away stealing one from Houston of all teams, you feel pretty good. And so you come into game 2 and you think, well, we can't do that again. They can't, you just stole one from Houston. You're probably not going to win 2 in a row in Houston. Starts off with Kyle Gibson having not a very long outing, which again, I keep comparing him to Jordan Lyles last year, and Jordan Lyles would just go long innings, right? Gibson hasn't really done that much this year. He only went 4 2/3 in this game, gave up 5 hits, 3 runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, did give up 2 home runs. The long ball hurt him in this. But the lucky thing for him is that the Orioles offense was there to pick him up because they just came alive. 9 runs off 10 hits. You had home runs from Ryan O'Hearn. You had 2 home runs from Austin Hayes. And wouldn't you know it, the kid himself, Heston Kjerstad, with his 2nd home run of his major league career.
A bomb. Longest, deepest part of the ballpark.
And then the Orioles, so after they used, 6 pitchers to get through 4 innings the game before, they end up using 5 relievers in this one. And we got our first look at Jack. There's the news came out of the bullpen that day. Jack Flaherty was removed from being a starter and was now serving a bullpen role. We saw him for 2 innings in this game. Was pretty good. 2 innings, 3 hits, no runs, 1 walk, no strikeouts. I
Two
mean,
strikeouts.
it could have been better. You want to see more strikeouts, but
Well, he had two.
at the end of the day, he didn't give up any runs.
I mean, he had two strikeouts, so
Did
you
he have
know.
2 strikeouts? I thought he didn't have
Yeah,
any.
yeah, no, he had two, and I feel like him letting up no runs, honestly, like that's all you can ask for. The 3 hits, yeah, 3 hits over 2 innings is a decent amount, but I mean, no runs came across, and I think that's a really positive thing coming out of Jack Flaherty in his first bullpen role.
Yeah, and I do like that he kind of he gave a good answer when they asked him like, "What did you think about moving to the bullpen?" And he's like, "Whatever I can do to help the team.
Yeah,
Just tell me where to go." I think that a long reliever role is a good place for him right now because as we've seen, like as we saw in that Adam Jones game and whatnot, um, his first 2 innings, his first 3 innings were really good. It's just when he gets past that. So you know
yeah.
what? Let him be a 2 inning guy. Get you through if you need to rest some relievers and stuff. And yeah, well, we'll see where they go from there.
Yeah, and I mean, again, the Orioles took down a really good Astros team. I wouldn't even call yesterday or today stealing games from the Astros. I mean, like, I feel like the Orioles really, yeah, some of the games were stolen, but I mean, like they're coming in here with a 94-56 record,
Right.
right, into this game, and I think that they just beat the Astros. Like the Astros have had their pitching woes as of late, and that really showed in the first 2 games of the series. Hunter Brown, by the way, who's got 23 decisions on the year at 11 and 12 is kind of nuts. He goes 5 innings almost every start, but just sometimes or more often than not will lose the game. So his whole stat line's kind of diminished. But he's a good arm nonetheless. I mean, 7 runs off him, it's nothing to balk at. So I think the Orioles offense just had a really big game. Obviously, 4 home runs will do that.
I think they were amped from the night before too, coming back and winning
For
that
sure.
game in the 9th inning. Which, by the way, Jack, I forgot to mention, it for me it mirrored Game 1 of Houston in Baltimore when Kyle Tucker hit that grand
Yeah.
slam off Felix Bautista.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. And then another good game the following day for sure. 2-1 game. Orioles jumped out to an early lead in the first inning. And then it was pretty silent until the 8th inning, and the Astros scratched a run across to tie the game. And then in the 9th, walked it off on a Mauricio Dubon single. Kyle Bradish again continued his dominance in Houston. 6 innings, shutout, 9 strikeouts. Pitch count just got a little high there. Otherwise, I'm sure he would have kept going. Then the bullpen looked pretty good. Fuji, despite walking 2 guys, did not, or was allowed, ended up getting charged for the 1 run that Mike Baumann would come in to let up. I mean, after a really good start from Bradish and then a great 7th from Jacob Webb, this was a high leverage situation for Fuji. And this was that second blow up, right? It comes in waves. Yeah. And then Mike Baumann, yeah.
It's one of those it's a shame that I had to put it in there that Fuji and Baumann blew the game because Coulombe ended up giving up the winning run because at the end of the day the Astros only scored 2 runs. So to me, at the end of the day, that it's more on your offense than anything else. The bats went quiet. And
Christian Javier struck out 11 guys, and he was one of the most dominant starters last year. And I know he's regressed a ton since last year, but that's still a good starter. And then the bullpen, those were their best guys, right? Hector Neris, Ryan Abreu, those are their best guys. And same thing with Presley, who came in for the 9th. Those are their best guys.
And at the end of the day, it was a pitcher's duel. And Kyle Bradish was doing just as much damage to them. I mean, Kyle Bradish struck out 9 guys. He just, unfortunately, he didn't get the offensive support that you'd like to see. Sometimes that's how the dice roll. There's only so much you can do about it. But I mean, this for me, because this is a really good Astros offense, this just further solidified to me that Kyle Bradish is an ace.
Yeah, man, he's got one more start left on the year, and if he can get that ERA under 3, he's at 3.01 right now. That'd be awesome.
Oh, I would love a sub 3 ERA for Kyle Bradish.
Yeah, I mean, it would need to be a 1-run, 2-run outing, but he might be able to do it.
He might be able to do it. I mean, we got the Nats and we got the Red Sox. Who's he playing? Who's he pitching against?
Probably be the Nats because he didn't pitch in Cleveland.
No, he didn't. So it's probably the Nats. He's probably pitching tomorrow.
Yeah, he probably is.
Because Gibson pitched before him in Houston, and Gibson pitched yesterday in Cleveland. So that means he's pitching tomorrow. I think he has a good chance of having a low run outing.
Yeah, for sure.
So the Orioles leave Houston, taking 2 out of 3, which is nothing to shrug at. Anytime you can go into Houston and take 2 games is awesome. And then you go to Cleveland. Now, Jack, I was listening to the last game in Houston on the radio because my dad and I were driving up to Cleveland.
There you go. You were here, right? You were at this game?
I was at the first game. I was at game 1. Let me tell you, Jack, you've been to Cleveland, right?
I have.
I was surprised. Cleveland is super nice.
It's very nice.
I have a friend from Ohio, and he always told me, like, never go to Cleveland. Like, we tried to push that city into the water, and it just wouldn't go, and it's stuck there on the lake. It's awful. I thought it was a nice city.
Yeah, I enjoyed myself there.
You know what my favorite thing about Cleveland is? We went to a couple like microbreweries.
Yeah.
And if you go to like a microbrewery in Baltimore and you order like a 12-ounce beer, how much do you think you're paying for that beer?
$7-8.
Yeah, $7-8.
Yeah.
You know how much you're paying for that in Cleveland?
How much?
Like $3.
Wow. See, I went to Cleveland when I was under the age of 21. So.
Okay. Yeah, no, if it, like my dad's not a big drinker, but he'll have like a beer or 2.
Yeah.
We went to a couple of these microbreweries and like we ordered a beer and it was like, okay, well, let's close out and head somewhere else. And when we closed out, they're like, oh yeah, it's like $7. And we're like, we were like $7 each, and then they're like, no, $7 total. And we're like, well, for that price, let's get another round. That being said, prices in the stadium not as nice.
Yeah.
But we did go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We paid homage to Orioles fan Joan Jett, as I taught you, Jack.
Yeah.
Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, who is an Orioles fan. Her first game she ever attended was a Jim Palmer no-hitter.
Wow.
So she's been an Orioles fan ever since.
There you go.
And she's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So a whole display on her. So there we go. As far as the game itself, let me just say Progressive Field. Nice stadium.
What would you rank it out of 10?
I'd give it a solid 8 or 9 out of 10.
Nice.
I really liked that was the first open air concept stadium I've been to.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the idea that I can get up and go get a beer and still be watching the game.
Yeah, I definitely enjoy that too.
I really liked we went into the center field gate.
Yes.
I like the view of like coming out into center field and you see the whole stadium kind of like open up from you there.
Yeah.
This is a weird like niche thing I just picked up on that I just really, really liked about Progressive Field. I really liked their announcer.
Huh.
He's like he's got this like gruff voice. So he had this thing where it was like when the gates opened up, they actually did like a big announcement, which I kind of liked too. It was kind of like the opening of an amusement park, as opposed to just like, oh, the gates are open. Okay. Like all of a sudden you heard this announcement. He's like, welcome to Progressive Field, blah, 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 blah. And then he was like, and remember, go Guardians. And it was like this really gruff voice. And I was like, oh, I don't know, that's cool. Like he was a good announcer. I liked him. Cleveland fans also, by the way, super friendly. Super friendly atmosphere. Only got ribbed by one guy who was a kid in a Blue Jays hat.
Interesting.
He was in a Blue Jays hat and wearing Cleveland shirt and was like, oh yeah, we're gonna sweep you guys in the playoffs. And I'm like, you guys aren't going to the playoffs. He's like, oh, that's a hot take. And then he pointed at his hat and he was I guess a Blue Jays fan. And I was like, you're very confusing, sir.
That's funny.
But overall, fun experience. Not as fun of experience on on the field, though.
Yeah, this was the game that I thought was going to happen on Monday.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Dude, the Guardians just kind of, I wouldn't even say small ball. They just slap singled us to death.
Oh yeah, and I have it in here. I think the number of foul balls that they hit off of Grayson Rodriguez alone, they hit 37 foul balls.
Yeah, I mean that's what they do.
Off
That's
of
what their
Grayson
lineup.
Rodriguez.
That's what their lineup's constructed to do. I mean, you look at the OPSs on the box score, and two guys are bad. Have a over 800 OPS, and that's Jose Ramirez, who's one of the best talents in the last 10 years, and then Josh Naylor, who's been one of their guys, who actually came out of this game with an injury.
Right.
So
hit by pitch, I think, was the injury.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It doesn't really show who came in for him, but regardless,
I'll say this. The frustrating thing about it, I was remarking this to my dad, like as we were watching. I was like, their first 4 hitters in their lineup, you sit there and go like, oh crap. And when you get past those first 4 hitters, you feel pretty good. The problem is everyone was fouling off so much. I was just sitting there watching Grayson Rodriguez, who had a decent outing, just his pitch count rising and rising and rising and rising. And after all the bullpen usage that we got in Houston, you were kind of sitting there going like, who's ready? Who's rested enough to deal with this? Because even though Grayson's pitching well, we're going to need someone to come in soon.
Yeah. And I think that's what we saw with Cionel Perez's outing, is that he was just tired.
Oh, yeah.
For a guy that's been pitching really, really well over the last couple months, couldn't get a guy out, 3 earned, walked a guy. That's just the way it goes when you're thin on guys and your starter can only get you 5, which, I would say is on Grayson, but then you look at the team runners in scoring position, 2 for 10, just could not get that one big hit that we needed, especially in a Guardians opener game. And I mean, this Guardians bullpen is good. Like there's some good names in there, but like
10 strikeouts too, by the way, 10 strikeouts. Yeah. I mean, that was the second straight game with double-digit strikeouts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and certified not good.
Certified, that is UPod Street approved, not good.
We need a little like stamp that like comes onto the screen, like not good.
Yeah, I think that Stephen Kwan is the scariest hitter in this lineup.
Oh my god, you couldn't get him out. Like that's the thing is like he would drive up the pitch count so much. He would have like 9-10 pitch at bats. And then all of a sudden he just like slap a single into right field or something like that.
Yeah, I mean he went 1 for 4, but I don't think he had an at bat under 5 pitches. And that'll do the same thing as going 2 for 4, right? Because your starter, your guy, his pitch count gets up. He's out of the game early. And then you're left to an unrested bullpen.
Yeah. It was a frustrating game. I do like that the Orioles still had some fight in them. They tied it up in the 8th inning. I was kind of hoping, I was like, Kenai has magic. But the Guardians after that, 3-run inning, like we said, Perez kind of a blow up inning. Couldn't get a guy out. I mean, just could not get a guy out. Had a walk, had a hit by a pitch, had a hit. I mean, you're just, high leverage situation there. You're not going to come away with the win. I mean, you tie it up. You feel like momentum's on your side. Then you immediately give up 3 runs. Kind of went in the top of the 9th going like, yeah, this is probably over.
Yeah.
But
the next game is much worse. I feel like this next game on Friday is Friday night, right? Yeah.
This is Friday night. Yeah.
Dean Kramer in his start I think this was the worst start of the year for Dean.
Yeah. I feel like Dean, who has been pretty reliable all year, I think he's running out of steam here down the stretch.
Dude, he just wasn't competitive. And like Jim Palmer was not picking him apart, but like was pointing out what was going on in his mechanics. And that was the reason why things were just staying right over the middle of the zone. I mean, how many changeups that he either had middle, or it was a dot right on the outside corner, or it was in the dirt. Like he just had no feel for the changeup. The cutter really wasn't cutting. Like it just wasn't very effective. And that's a that's a big pitch in today's game, that cutter. I mean, you see only 2 walks, but granted, he only pitched 3 1/3. Pitch count got up really quick, and that's again the Guardians lineup would foul good pitches away.
I forget
Force
who
him up
said
to
it.
full
Someone
count.
said it on Twitter before this game, where they were like, I don't like this matchup of Kramer versus the Guardians, because
Yeah,
Kramer is about I mean, he's a fly ball pitcher, right? Like, we would consider Kramer a fly ball pitcher.
yeah,
And the Guardians are not going to swing at anything that they don't like. And they're going to, I mean, like we said, they just keep hitting foul balls. They're going to drive up your pitch count. For a guy like Kramer, I just don't feel good about that matchup. And like, I read that quote from someone. They're like, this just doesn't feel like a good matchup for Kramer versus the Guardians. And I read that, I was like, yeah, that kind of feels right. Like, I don't even know like how to put it into like really good context, I guess. Other than I was like, the Guardians have a team of young hitters who really know how to put the bat to the ball. And if your game is entirely put the bat to the ball because I'm going to trust that it's going to stay in the park, yeah, that doesn't feel like a good matchup to me.
Yeah, and said it before, Stephen Kwan seemed even scarier this game. Yeah, and we're giving the Guardians a lot of credit here, but they're inferior to you. Like, this team was inferior to the Baltimore Orioles.
They got eliminated during this game.
Yeah, the Twins clinched the AL Central at the end of this game, regardless if the Guardians win. So I'm just glad that, like, because after this game, I mean, you kind of felt like, oh boy, like, this is really coming down to the wire. Like we can't close.
One thing that saved us during this game was during the same time the Blue Jays won.
Yes, and thank God
that was the saving grace of this game, where you're like, okay, you know what? Not that big a deal, because the Blue Jays beat the Rays.
Yeah, I mean, even with that loss, I still felt kind of down after this game, because I was like, shit, like.
Well, and the real thing that sucks, the real downer for this game was, despite that performance, the Orioles still came back. I mean, Aaron Hicks hits a go ahead. What was it? Double, 2 RBI hit in the 8th inning to put the Orioles ahead 8-7.
Right.
And you thought, like, did that really just happen? I was amped. I was like, oh, let's go. We can do this. Like, we can come all the way back. We can win this game. Just for Yennier Cano to come in. And again, I it's going to show on the stat line that this is Cano's fault, but I think ultimately he was just exhausted because he's been used a lot this past week. He only goes a third of an inning. He gave up 2 hits, a walk, and then a 2-run RBI for the Guardians to walk it off and win it. That's where you really felt low. Like, wow, it felt like we were going to come away with one there. We might be 2 games up in the division, get 2 games down on that magic number, and then suddenly you lose that. Still got one game down on the magic number, but to lose a game, I hate being on the road in tight games, because there's no like lower feeling than losing on a walk-off.
Yeah, for sure.
So you went into, I mean, I don't know about you, Jack, but going into game 3, I was just thinking, like, can we just win a game? Can we please just win a game? And you know who also wanted to win a game, Jack?
John Means, dude. John Means with a huge statement star. He's like, yeah, UCL's good, boys. Let's ride. Wrote a no-hitter.
If I told you that in his 3rd game back from Tommy John surgery, John Means was going to go up against a decent team. I'm not going to say a great team, but a decent team in the Guardians, because obviously they're not making the playoffs, but I'd still say they're a decent team. And he was going to go 7 1/3 innings pitch, only give up 1 hit. By the way, that 1 hit will come in the 7th inning. 1 run, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. If I had told you that at the beginning of the season, what would you have said?
I mean, I would like to hope to believe you.
That's the thing. If you told me that, I would have called you a liar. I'm like, that's not happening.
But he's done it before, right?
He has, but you're telling me you think he can do this the 3rd game back from TJ? I
Like
don't.
if he
I would
can,
not think anyone can do that.
if he can throw a no hitter caught by Pedro Severino,
What should have been a perfect game if not for
yeah,
Pedro Severino.
like you said before, weirder things have happened.
Weirder things have happened. First of all, can I just say I'm super happy for John Means.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, imagine all the work he's had to do for the past year and a half to get to this point.
Yeah, I hope that he can replicate.
Oh, absolutely. I hope he can replicate. He has one more chance before the
Yeah,
postseason to replicate.
yeah, he'll pitch against the Red Sox for sure.
It has me wondering, Jack, because like we said, Kramer in his last couple outings, not looking super sharp. Jack Flaherty's already gone to the bullpen. Gibson is so hit or miss, but he does have playoff experience.
Mm-hmm.
Bradish is our ace, right? Grayson is pitching well. Is John Means a postseason starter?
I would want John Means throwing Game 3 of the ALDS.
I want John Means throwing Game 3 of the ALDS.
Yeah, for
I'd
sure.
agree with that.
For sure. And then depending on what the situation is, give Gibson Game 4 and then back to Bradish for 5 if it gets to that point.
Yeah. I think that's a really good rotation right there. You do Bradish, Grayson, and then Means. That to me is an ALDS winning rotation right there.
For sure. For sure. And then Perez, righted the ship too after a couple days of rest. Another pitcher's duel, I guess. I mean, Cal Quantrill really did not have a good start. Couldn't really find the zone. 4 walks, 5 hits. Okay. Struck out 4. I mean, the Orioles, I guess, had that timely hit when they needed it, and that's what they did not have before. And when you got your pitcher on the mound going 7 no-hit innings, I mean, I guess you can afford to kind of scuffle at the plate a little bit, even though the pitcher on the opposing side didn't have a great start. But
2 for 8 with runners in scoring position.
Yeah, and that was the whole weekend, right? Like,
yeah,
just not getting that timely hit.
So Orioles end up winning that one 2-1, and you kind of feel good at that point because the big thing here is you only had 2 relief pitchers used in that game, and like I said, we keep coming back to that theme. How many relievers did we use? How many relievers did we use? How many? And in a point where it was very clear in the first 2 games in Cleveland, where it's like this bullpen is gassed.
Yeah.
Bullpen was absolutely gassed, and I wouldn't even say just the bullpen. I mean, the whole team seemed exhausted, but the bullpen especially is where it was showing. And then you get that outing from John Means, where it's like, okay, we only need to use Perez and Cano from here. I mean, it couldn't have come at a better time to help rest our bullpen.
For sure.
And then we go into Game 4 of this series, and wouldn't you know it, Kyle Gibson watched John Means, got a little inspired there, Jack. And he goes 7 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. I mean, except for a couple more hits, he basically mirrored what John Means did. And very timely to help rest our bullpen even more coming into this off day. We actually had some offense in this one, Jack. So 3 runs in the 2nd inning, 2 more added in the 4th and 5th inning. Orioles go on to win 5-1 thanks to Danny Coulomb and a DL Hall relief performance.
Dude, this game
Orioles
was like
split the series.
This game was like if you were running a race against your little brother, and you were like, you can have a 10-second head start. Like, don't worry about it. Because Tristan McKenzie walked 6 people in his appearance. I mean, 6 walks in less than 2 innings is nuts.
Yeah, that's once again, UPod Street certified not good.
Yeah, I mean, I was at the Ravens game watching this, like on the live 3D version thing that you can have on the MLB app, and we see Tristan McKenzie just walking off the mound like, holy crap, he walked 6 guys. But yeah, I mean, this great outing from Gibson. 3 for 13 again with runners in scoring position, but 5 runs will do it. Thanks for the 10-second head start on that one, Guardians. Yeah, good win to wrap up the week and head into a much needed off day before coming home.
And what was even bigger, or I would say equally as big, is Toronto beat the Rays that day.
Oh yeah.
So suddenly our magic number, which at the start of the day was 5, dropped down to 3. So we're sitting here with a magic number of 3. We need a combination of Orioles wins, Rays losses, whatever it is, has to add up to 3. And there's 6 games left in the regular season. Jack, I don't know about you, but that seems very doable.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, the Orioles just need 1 win and 1 Rays loss, and they're sitting real pretty. Sitting real pretty. If that could happen tomorrow, man. I mean, the Orioles should not lose to the Nationals, right?
They shouldn't.
They just should not.
But I have a feeling Nationals are going to be a little amped up for this little Beltway, Battle of the Beltway, amped up. I think they're going to give the Orioles a run for their money here.
Kyle Bradish's last start of the season is tomorrow.
Okay.
So, we got that going for us. Got our guy on the bump. Nationals have not yet listed a starting pitcher for tomorrow.
Good old TBD.
Yeah, classic TBD. And it is Grayson for the following game against TBD as well. So we'll see who the Nationals.
TBD is going to pitch 2 days in a row?
Yeah, man.
That's some all-star stuff.
Just need to go 500 in these last 6 games to win 100 games as well.
Yeah, and that's not including the Rays possibly dropping a game.
It's true.
Well, as far as the magic number, not the 3 reaching 100 wins.
Yes.
I feel pretty good about this, Jack. One thing I did not feel good about, this going back to what we were talking about. How in the world do you have a team play 17 games in a row in the month of September?
I think that's just kind of a product of this being the first year of the balanced schedule. And the Orioles definitely had a ton of off days in the early parts of the season.
In June, when
July.
we didn't need them.
Well, you never know when you need a playoff or a off day.
Well, okay, yeah, I could use some, but give me like 1 or 2 less off days in June and put them in September. Where the Rays, because the Rays, on the other hand, the Rays had 4 off days in September. We had 2.
Yeah, I mean, we're still 97 and 50 and 59, right?
I know, but there's so much struggles that happened in this last like week or so that I fully put on the fact that the team was just gassed.
Yeah, I mean, but that happens even with the old schedule, right? You can play that many games in a row. It sucks for the Orioles that that's just the way it panned out. But you think about like those off days earlier in the season, like we might not win the same amount of games that we do without that off day.
It's possible. I'm still mad about it.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely sucks that this is the schedule that we drew, but I feel like after those 2 wins, off day, take the momentum home. I think they'll be good.
I still think they'll be good. Could have been better.
Yeah, I guess.
Jack, are you? So we talked about this a little bit before the game, but for the listeners, when do you think the Orioles are going to clinch, and when are you going in preparation for that?
I hope it's Wednesday.
So Wednesday's the earliest it can be.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the earlier the better. I'm glad that they're going to be able to celebrate it at home if they do clinch it. I think that this is definitely one that both fans, players, front office staff have all been waiting for. It's been a long time since the division has been won, 9 years. So
9 years, and I believe, Jack, correct me if I'm wrong. 2014, it was a big deal that they clinched at home because it was the first time they clinched the division at home since like the 70s.
Yeah, and to be able to do that 2 times within the last decade,
pretty exciting.
Yeah,
I know I'm going to try and be there. I'm going to try and go maybe Wednesday or Thursday, depending how the numbers looking. I think clinch.
You watch it and then hop on SeatGeek or whatever right before the game starts, and if if they're gonna try and clinch it on whatever day this week, try and make it out to the yard, man. Grab a cheap ticket right before the game starts. I know I've done that a couple times this year, so
That's what happened in 2014. They said the game where they ended up clinching, they had a massive walk-up crowd.
Yeah, for sure. I think that this is a moment that, you know, for me especially, that I definitely want to be there for. And I'm glad that my schedule this week's shaken out so that I might be able to. But yeah, definitely try and make it out to the yard anytime this week. I think if there is a game to miss this week, it's definitely tomorrow's game.
Yeah, they can't clinch tomorrow no matter what.
Clear the schedules.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be good. I am going Saturday night, which Saturday night's already a sellout. That's the hoodie giveaway.
You and this hoodie, man.
Dude,
it's
I'm
just
pumped.
A hoodie. It's just
pumped.
A hoodie.
It's not just a hoodie, Jack. It's a free hoodie. Okay. Okay.
Had to pay for the ticket. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
There's some giveaways where I'm like that, but for a hoodie, yeah.
Well, you know what? You're a hater. Hey, well, you got a giveaway right behind your head right now, buddy.
It's true. It's true, but you know, I went for the ball. I didn't go for the flag.
Okay. All right. But you know, I'm excited to go to that game. I'm excited to sellout game too.
Mm-hmm.
That's the second sellout game I've been to in the past 2 weeks. Which is awesome that people are coming out to the yard. But speaking of getting tickets for games, Jack, have you secured your playoff tickets?
Yeah. Had to just look away from the bank account after was that Wednesday? I went on
something
Wednesday.
like that.
I know you went on Tuesday, but I went on Wednesday.
Yeah, that's right. My time was on Tuesday.
Yeah, the first year season ticket holders got to go later. But yeah, man, I got ALDS games 1 and 2, and then ALCS game 1.
I did the same thing. So I have ALDS game 1 and 2, and then I have ALCS game 1. I also have. I hope I don't need them. So I texted you about it, Jack. Someone, I think it might have been Orioles fan Ryan, tweeted out like, "Hey, if you're a Capital One credit card user, you can get early access to Orioles playoff games." And they put instructions on how to do it, and I went in and I couldn't get it to work, couldn't get it to work, and then at one point I randomly clicked a different button, and all of a sudden there they were. Capital One exclusive offer, Orioles playoff tickets. I was like, what? And of course by then, because I think they only had like limited sections that the Capital One offer was for, so by then all the LDS games were sold out for those sections.
Yeah.
But then I saw it for the ALCS. So I was like, well, let me go ahead and just buy cheap tickets for the ALCS so that when it comes time for me to order my tickets, I don't have to worry about the AL or the wild card. I'm sorry. I bought it for the wild card. They only had it for the wild card in the ALDS. So let me go ahead and buy it for the wild card. And then that way, when it comes time to purchase tickets using my code, I can focus on the ALDS and the ALCS.
Right.
Because I already have all the wild card. Now, hopefully I don't need the wild card, but I have that secured just in case.
You can't never be too prepared.
Yeah. And I'll get that money back if they don't need it, which hopefully they don't. What are we going to do though, Jack? But when I say we, I mean the general we. ALDS game 1, Saturday, October 7th. Also when the Billy Joel Stevie Nicks concert's happening at M&T Bank Stadium.
I know this might ruffle a few feathers, but Billy Joel can kick rocks.
I'm glad you said Billy Joel because my dad listens to the pod, and my dad is the biggest Stevie Nicks fan in the world. You should have seen him at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, like a kid in the candy store. Everything Stevie Nicks he was all about.
Yeah.
So not Stevie Nicks. Stevie Nicks can't kick rocks, but Billy Joel, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really like, this is a genuine question, is because when they announced that concert, I remember, Jack, it was a big deal. Like the mayor announced it and he held up a jersey that said Billy Joel on it. That was a Ravens jersey and stuff.
Yeah.
And they announced it, and they're like, yeah, it's going to be Saturday, October 7th. And I remember the reaction at all these people, because it was right before the Orioles season. Everyone was like, do they not think that the Orioles are going to make the playoffs?
Yeah, I think that probably just means that the Orioles game is going to be a day game.
Yeah, that kind of sucks for me because that means I have to take leave to go to the game. But I'm taking leave. I mean, I'm not missing it.
Yeah, right.
First home playoff game in 9 years. You think I'm missing that?
No way.
No. I'll call in sick if I have to. In fact, I feel a little tickle coming through my throat right now. But I'm pumped for it, Jack.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be electric. I thought it was crazy, man. The general tickets, how much more expensive they were. It made the season ticket membership feel real good.
When I heard how much they were charging for the general tickets, versus what I paid for using the membership code, I was like, you know what, this was all worth it.
Yeah, right.
All worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, even if we thought that the policy for season ticket members purchasing tickets was a little jank at first, it was good.
Yeah, absolutely. Where did you end up getting tickets, Jack?
I am in the section next to the Bird Bath for game 1.
Oh, that'll be cool.
Yeah, and then all the other games are way up top. Yeah,
I went way up top for all of them because I'm going for longevity here because I will probably go general admission. StubHub, resale, stuff like that for all the games I didn't get tickets to. So, I want to spread out my money. So I just went cheap for all of them. But luckily, my normal section was available for all the tickets I got.
Nice.
So I'm not going to have a different view from what I normally have for the games. So I'm going to be up in 340, which is behind home plate. It's just third level, but it's a great view of the stadium. I love it up there because it's a really, really nice view of the stadium.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for it. Do you have anything else before we get into closing this out?
Looking forward to that game 1 giveaway of a nice towel. Those postseason towels.
There was someone on Twitter today. I'm not going to say their name because I'm not going to whatever. But they were teasing. They're like, oh, you guys should see what they're cooking up for the postseason giveaway. Oh, it's going to be awesome. I'm like, you mean a towel?
No,
like we all know it's going to
be
a towel.
Really cool towel, though.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm going to get the rally towel.
I'm here for that.
I'm going to wave the rally towel. But don't try and get me amped about a towel.
Oh, I am beyond amped. You should be amped for this towel, buddy.
Okay, you just told me I shouldn't be amped for a hoodie. I'm way more amped for a hoodie than a towel.
Oh, give me the towel over the hoodie any day of the week.
But what are you going to use a towel for ever again in your life?
Put it up my wall. Remember my experience at the Orioles postseason?
Yeah, but you can wear a hoodie.
Give me the towel.
Oh my God!
You should make that a poll.
You know what?
You should make that a poll on Twitter. Make it a poll on Twitter. What would you rather have?
Would you prefer to have a towel or a hoodie?
Would you rather have a postseason towel? It's postseason towel. You gotta say postseason towel.
Postseason towel, yeah.
Honestly, I'm taking a regular season towel too over a hoodie.
Here's my thing. I'd rather the postseason towel because I want to go to the postseason game more than the regular season game. But if you're asking me, if we're out on the street and you say, "Hey, would you like a towel or would you like a hoodie?" I'm going to tell you hoodie every single time.
Let the people decide. I'm taking the towel.
You're crazy. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to turn down my postseason towel. I'm going to take my postseason towel.
Looks like we're going to just have to agree to disagree on this one.
All right. Well, that's, this might be the first UPod Street debate where we leave it unsettled.
Put the poll out. We'll let the people decide.
All right. All right. I think I found I think I figured out the name of our episode from this too. Yeah. It was going to be Magic Number, but now I think it has to be Towel or Hoodie.
Yeah.
So there we go. There's the name of the episode. Speaking of giveaways, though, Jack, we do have some baseball cards to give away. So if this is your first time listening to us, as a reminder, we have many packs of free baseball cards that we give away every week. All you have to do is when the recording of the episode goes out onto Twitter, to make sure that you like the post, repost it, and make sure that you're following us on Twitter. and you will automatically be entered for a chance to win free baseball card packs. So
It's free,
this
why not?
this episode's winner is Brian Porter, or at Brian E. Porter. So congratulations, Brian.
Congrats.
Don't forget to go ahead to go to birdlandsports.com/upodstreet as a place to buy some merchandise. Birdland Sports has, speaking of postseason merchandise, Jack, they've been putting out some good postseason shirts getting ready for the playoffs. I like one. They have one that's Mr. Splash, and it's a calendar of October, and it's Mr. Splash spraying the month of October.
There you go. It's kind of electric.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, they put some good stuff out.
If you use code UPodStreet at checkout, you get 10% off your order. So there's some incentive for you.
There you go.
What more could you want?
Literally. What more? An Orioles World Series ring. I'll tell you what.
Oh, I want a World Series. Hardcore, Jack. We got 1 month to go, man.
Yeah.
1 month to go. All right. Well, we're going to get out of here. Make sure you get to the yard this week. Try and see Clinch Miss 2.0. Revenge of the Clinch. And go O's.
Go O's. Thank you, everybody.
You've been listening to UPod Street, an Orioles podcast by fans for fans. UPod Street is an official Birdland Sports affiliate. Directly support the pod by purchasing UPod Street or other Orioles merchandise using the link birdlandsports.com/UPodStreet. Get 10% off your order when you use the code UPodStreet. Follow us on Twitter at UPodStreet and at JackBain20. UPod Street is also on Facebook and YouTube, and you can listen to the show on all major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Spotify. On whatever platform you listen, please subscribe, rate the pod, and leave a review. If you leave a review, we may even read it on the show. We'll see you next week, and of course, let's go O's.